In this video, we're going to be sharpening a Ward cast steel plain iron. That is actually, well, it's just come out of my jack plane, wooden jack plane. I just delved this out of the old bar next door. It was in a bag, covered in shit, and we cleaned it up. And oh my giddy aunt, I've been using it, and it's lovely. But the thing I'm more interested in today in this video is the plain iron itself. Yeah. As you can see, it is, how to put it, quite a meaty thing. It really is. And the cap iron, so the chip breaker itself, it says warranted steel and has the brass screw all within a part of the actual construction of the actual chip breaker. And it's got all these lovely bevel grinds on the back here and that as well. It's a lovely, lovely thing. But what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at this plain iron. I want to see how much it weighs. I want to see what sort of size it is. I imagine it's a 2-inch, which would be typical for something like a smooth and plain or this jack plane over here, you know, 2-inch plain irons. But what we're going to do is we're going to weigh it, going to measure it. We're going to have a look at its thickness, but also in its construction, because that plain iron is not built in the same way as a typical Stanley Bailey plain iron. No, it's very different indeed. Very, very different. And I have to admit, these Ward, I think it's Ward and Payne, it's Norwich, where I'm from, you see. I'm an Orphic guy, me. And they were a famous make, they were. And quite often they were fitted inside these Griffith wooden jack planes and, you know, triplanes, etc. Yeah, they were their go-to plain iron. Now, if you've got a choice between the Ward cast steel and a Sorby old plain iron, you know, because you want to restore an old wooden plane, for instance, and you haven't got a plain iron, you've got a source one, go for the Ward. If you've got a choice, go for the Ward. The Sorbys tend to be a little bit on the softer side, whereas these ones by Ward cast steel are actually 2 pieces of steel. Now, you won't be able to see it on there, but when you grind this up and then you go in for the process of sharpening it, you can see the lamination. This is laminated steel. There's a section on the back here, which is a very hard steel, and then there's a mild steel backing. It's all been done in the forge. So that's effectively it's laminated steel. It's like, you know, I don't know, samurai swords and stuff like that, you know, folded 1,000 times, you know. I don't think that is. But anyway, it does have a really lovely edge. Now, if you compare that to like A2 steels or PM V11, sorry, other modern steels, it is certainly comparable, if not better. I really like it. I do. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it a sharpen up. Now, the thing about sharpening anything like this, you need a flat oil stone and you need a flat back. Yeah, be flat on your back. Tell the missus. That's what she likes. Anyway, this particular plain iron, as you can see here, it'll suffer quite a bit with a corrosion. So when I was restoring this one here to make it into a usable plane, and I'll show you it working, as you can see, all these shavings everywhere, it's producing beautiful shavings. And how did we do that? Well, obviously you've got to have a sharp edge. Now the thing is, it frustrates me when I see online people showing people how to sharpen stuff, and they do it like this or do it like that. If you want to get this super crazy sharp edge, it's not what most people need. Most people need a strong edge. If you do what a lot of these people do, the edge is going to last 5 seconds. No. You get a couple of good shavings out of it, and that's it. And you're back to, you know, how you would be if you're going to sharpen it, as I'm going to show you. What you want is repeatable results. Now, I've shown you this thing before, my little wedge here, which is literally just a wooden block cut to the correct angle. In this case, I think this one's 26 or 27 degrees. And I tend to do my primary and my micro bevel on this. In other words, I don't have a micro bevel. I sharpen the whole blooming thing. There's no need, you see. Now, my argument about the micro bevel is, the more you keep sharpening the micro bevel, the longer the micro bevel will become, okay? So if you don't sharpen that all in one go, you're never going to be removing any of this material here. The reason why we put a micro bevel on isn't to make it sharp necessarily. You know, you can argue make a stronger edge, but it's because it takes longer to remove material here on an oil stone. So you have a micro bevel, you're removing a little bit of material, and then it's quick. But the thing is, you see, if you do, every time you sharpen it, and you sharpen the whole thing, this is something I've been doing more recently, actually, than what I used to. I used to do micro pebbles, so I used to sharpen. But I just think, hey, what's the point? If you've got a sharp edge here, and it shaves your hair, isn't that all you really need, to be honest, And if you want repeatable results, you need to be doing it the same way every single time. And I'm not talking about muscle memory. I'm not talking about sharpening by hand, because even though I've done it by hand a million times before, and that's how I used to always do it by hand on site and what have you, because it was quick and easy at the time. But what happens after a period of time, eventually you'll round off that edge. You will. Don't care how good you are. You're never going to be sharpening exactly the same every single time. And that will become more and more acute. And that will become less and less effective. So anyway, we're going to be using this little block. It's got basically that with 2 magnets in it. And it just snaps in like so. Okay? Works so well. Now, I've got videos on this channel of making one of these. They're so blooming obvious anyway. You don't really need to watch it, to be honest. But be my guest. So, I place it in there just so that's flush with the back, so I know that's going to engage with my oil stone. Yes, I'm using oil stone. And that's the other thing about sharpening I find a little bit irritating, is when I see people telling us you need a coarse, medium, and a super fine, or whatever, or coarse, a smooth, and a super fine. You only need a coarse for your main bevel. If you're always doing exactly the same thing, unless you put a notch in your chisel, you hit a nail or something, but then obviously you need to grind it. But most of the time, hopefully you're not going to do that, you see. But all you've got to do is touch it up each time. 10 seconds on an oil stone, and if you do it regular, maybe every time before you actually use it, once a day, or maybe a couple of times a day, you just whip it over the oil stone, and it's done. Bit stropping, and then you're away again. You only have to remove a tiny bit of material, you see. But if you get, I'll try again, I'm going to get my hand thing, I am, going to have to get that last job done, that last shave, and just so I can go and do something else instead of actually sharpening your tool, well then, next time you sharpen, you have lost time. Because you've basically got to correct your mistakes. Yeah, and the fact you damaged the edge. So, actually, before I do that, what I want to do is I want to weigh it. Because I'm quite interested, because the thickness of this thing is quite considerable. At the actual edge that attacks the wood, the thickness of the iron is it's 5 millimeters thick. So, what would that be in inches? Anyway, I'll stick with metric. 5 millimeters thick at the cutting edge, but the tail end, the top end, that you tap with your hammer, plastic hammer or a wooden hammer. Don't hit them with a metal hammer. I see people doing that there. God, blimey. Okay, and that goes down to 2.5 millimeters, which is still thicker than a traditional iron. But how much this thing weigh? It's actually quite weighty. So I'm going to use these scales here, postal scales, and they go down like 1 degree increments. Well, actually, no, 1 degree increments. Or actually, no, 0.1 of a gram. Blimey, 238. It's 238 grams. So it's also about an eighth of a bag of sugar or something silly. So 238 grams. So how much does a traditional plain iron that you'll find in the Stanley Bailey number 4 or 5 2-inch plain iron? So let's take it out of there and let's have a look at that one. Which is basically just a piece of flat steel. Hard steel, a little grade. I can't remember what they used on the old Stanleys. But that's just 2 millimeters thick right through. It's not tapered. You see, if you compare that one to that one, it's horses for courses, isn't it? That is like, it means business. That does, So let's place that one on the scale. And that one is 116.8 grams. I can't really show you, but that is 116.8 grams. Now, anyway, you have to take my word for it, okay? So it's a lot thinner. So obviously it's going to be a lot lighter. So let's put that there for a minute. I'll put that back in a moment. Okay, that's a chip breaker. I don't want to lose anything, do I? So anyway, so what we're going to do now is we're going to sharpen this thing using my guide, but also how wide is it? Just double check the width. It should be 2 inches. So about 50 mil. Yeah, 51 mil. So that's 2 inches wide, same as the traditional 2-inch, the Imperial, aren't they? So they're going to be the same, aren't they? To be fair. And the length is, this is going to be too short. No, it's not. Length for this plain iron is 190 millimeters, and this one hasn't had a lot of wear, so That's 180, but I wouldn't be surprised that was longer because it's been used, isn't it? And to be fair, this might have been longer, you know. Now, the thing about these forged plain irons, such as this one, I'm not 100% certain if the hard piece of steel goes all the way back. I wouldn't be surprised it's just treated on this edge, on this back face. So that's been laminated up so far. Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. You know, you can just about see a difference in the steel where they've been bonded together. You know, they've been forged together. It's amazing you can even do that. To be honest, it must have been such high heat, mustn't it? And obviously you'd need to re-temper it as well if you can heat to that sort of temperature. So let's put that over there, and we're going to sharpen this using my jig, and we're going to be using 2 stones. I'm just going to be using the fine, which is a Northern India oil stone, but also we're going to be using a water stone as well for that last bit. You don't have to do that bit, but I'm going to do just to get a little bit slightly better edge. And this iron can take it. So if you buy one of these cheap Chinese hand planes, make sure the plain iron in it isn't a high-speed steel. They won't tell you what steel it is generally, but hopefully it'll have a high-speed steel plain iron. Otherwise it might be too soft. Most modern tool steels are pretty good, to be fair, even from China. They're not bad. In fact, that's what I've got in here. Yeah, that's got a Chinese plain iron in that, which is 3mm thick. Well, actually more than 3mm thick, actually. Anyway, it's thicker. So putting it back in there like so. I'm going to place a little bit of oil onto my oil stone, hence it's an oil stone. I know some people don't like oil stones. I'm sorry, but I think that's a mistake. That's my feeling. Now, this is the other beauty about this jig, right? Because if you're sharpening by hand, you need to stand up. Right? Now, what if you've got no legs? What if you're in a wheelchair? It's going to be a darn sight harder for you to sharpen your tools in a wheelchair. It's not going to be easy because your arms are not in a natural position to sharpen them. So that's where these little wedgie type jigs, type jigs, or honing guides come in handy, because you can do it. Don't matter as long as that makes contact. You can be sitting up, you can stand on your blooming head if you like. I don't advise it though. It'd be a bit silly. Yeah, blood rush to your brain. Yeah, I don't be very good with it. So just on there like so, and just literally just do that. And the beauty about this also is because that is held nice and flat, and because there's no wheel like you would get in a traditional honing guide, which I can't see, it's around there somewhere. But anyway, the type with a wheel on, you can only go back and forth because it's got a wheel. It doesn't go side to side, does it? No. So the beauty about this is if you want to do the figure of 8, you can. I'm not having to put any pressure on it. I can just do that until I'm satisfied that I'm getting my edge. And you know when you're getting your edge, it's not because it's sharp. It's because when you run your thumb over the back edge, away from the blade like so, you'll feel it grab your skin. And what that means is there's a hooked bird, a piece of metal that's starting to fold back over on itself. Do. Now, a lot of these plain irons by Wards were found in Griffith wooden hand planes. So they were making planes until, God, get right in my head now, 1958. I don't know if the geezer died or something, or they just shut up shop because they weren't selling wooden hand planes anymore like they used to. Obviously, because of the metal-bodied hand planes, pretty much taken over by that point, hadn't it? You know, even though they've been since the Industrial Revolution, through Leonard Bailey, and you've got Bedrock, obviously Frederick Stanley, which they amalgamated one at one point, or basically Stanley effectively took Leonard Bailey's designs really, which like the chip breaker and the lever cap, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, so what else? There was rapier, weren't there? So you got they've got Bedrock, rape, but there's a load of them out there, hand planes. But Frederick Stanley, being who he is, basically bought up those companies, basically destroyed them. Got rid of them. Competition, see, get rid of the competition. That was his ethos. I suppose it did pan out for him. He had a successful business. And the metal body hand planes such as this Bailey here, well, they're very popular. They are, and they still are today. I'm not talking the new ones. The new ones are shit. Don't buy a new Stanley Bailey overpriced rubbish. Sorry, but they are. They're not Stanley Baileys. They're made in India or China or somewhere. The steel units are good. Don't bother. Get an old one and restore it. See this one here, 1940s. This one, it's a wartime effort, you know, and it's lovely. It really is lovely, and it was considered one of the cheap ass planes at the time because obviously they had a shortage of materials, what have you, because they want to build tanks, you know, and munition shells. So all the brass components they use Bakelite knobs and stuff because the brass components were the shortage of brass you see for use for the shells for the guns and stuff. Yeah, so. Yeah, but the thing is, you see, I think my point here is don't rule it out just because it's old. And you'll see in a minute, this wooden jack plane here, oh my giddy up, it looks like a bit of a beast. Oh my God, how do you handle that flipping thing? This is a 15-inch jack plane. It is so nice to use. And even though it looks massive in comparison to that one is a lot lighter, you know? A lot lighter. I'll show you in a minute. I think this is about 2 kilos, and this is about 1.5. So if you use it all day long, or you've got a toolkit full of tools, you've got to cart about, well, obviously it'd be quite nice if it's a bit lighter, you know. But you have to understand though, with a wooden tool like that, they do require some TLC. It's kind of what we're doing now. Now that particular hand plane I just found in the bag yesterday. I wish I photographed it before I restored it. Now I just made a video restoring this hand plane, flattening the sole and stuff like that. I might leave a link on one of the end cards or in the video in the description of this video. It isn't live yet, but it might be the time you've actually watched this video. We'll see. Oh, it's like a time warp. Take a step to the left. Take a step to the right. Oh God! I know, Rocky. Oh, God. I can remember going to Theatre Royal when I was about 15. I think 15. Yeah. To watch the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Guess what? I had fishnets on and suspenders. And I was wearing this weird black sort of very goth. I wasn't goth. I wasn't. Oh yeah, it was just for the honest. Anyway, that was like a laser show and stuff at the end, and we all turned up with like fairy liquid bottles full of water. That was a laugh. Yeah, that was at the Theatre Royal in Norwich. Wonderful time that was. Anyway, I'm now starting to feel that edge. I don't know if I've been a bit more. It's very hard steel, actually. Very hard steel. That's comparable to my Victor hand-forged plane irons, which is in my number 6 and my number 7 metal-bodied hand planes, my Bailey and my Record. So, yeah, it's quite hard steel. So, a diamond plate would be much faster, I have to admit. You know, oil stones do take a long while, but these do last a long, long time. They really do. Now, the thing about oil stones is you've got to be a little bit, diamond stones, you've got to be a little bit careful. Now, if you're buying a cheap ass one, who bloody cares? They cost like £6, you know, under a tenner for a sharpening system that, quite frankly, does a good job, you know. So I use them myself. So I'm not dishing them, but you can't compare them to, say, for instance, like a DMT or something like that, or one of the proprietary brands of diamond sharpeners. You can't really make that sort of comparison apart from the cost. You know, they will obviously last longer and they will obviously be flatter. There's no doubt there. But for most people, see, I don't want no snobbery on this channel. I'm not a tool snob. I love my tools and what have you, but predominantly they have to be able to do a job. Now, although I don't work quite so much these days, it's more about making videos and trying to share the stuff that I've done in the past, what I've learned in the past on this channel. Partly because my business here in France, it kind of deteriorated after a certain event in 2016. But so I started doing a YouTube channel, you know, a bit more so recently, to be honest. But it's the thing is, you see, I sort of lost my train of thought now. Blimey, that's what happens when you go off key, isn't it? Now I can feel it now. I can feel that edge is building up. Now with the harder steels, the burr you get will not be as pronounced as some of the thinner steels or sort of cheaper steels that you get in a traditional kind of Stanley Bailey or something like that, or a modern hand plane. Just HSS. You'll get more of a more pronounced bevel, wire edge, you know, a burr. So remember, I'm sharpening. I'm actually taking material not just off that edge, but all the way along the flat of the actual bevel, because I'm doing it all in one hit. You see, it might take a little bit longer, but once you've actually sharpened it, it won't. It'll be easy, be quick, because you've already done it. you just take a little bit off at a time. So now, as you can see, I'm working more one end than the other. What's a good idea is get up and turn around and work the other end, or just turn the stone around, which I'm going to do on these, because these India stones are not a natural stone. Because they're not a natural stone, they're produced relatively flat and uniform in size. Unlike a proper water stone, if I can actually find it now. It's here somewhere. Oh, where? No, it's not here. It's here somewhere. Oh, here it is. I'm in a mess, aren't I? You can see, can't you? This is a natural stone. I can't remember what stone it is. As you can see, I had to put like blobs of mastic behind it to keep it level, because it's actually just a slice of stone with one flattened face. And this is a lovely stone. It's a proper stone. Now, most water stones you buy are like reconstituted stone dust, sort of pressed into a block. And they are pretty uniform when you get them. So, you know, horses for courses. But the thing about those stones is, if you've got to make sure, obviously, that you keep them well lubricated. So you've got to make sure you soak them in water and what have you. There's a lot of process just to keep the stone, you know, and also, if you don't get a good quality one, some of the cheap ones you get on Amazon are soft. I mean, ridiculously soft. And they just break down on you. They're rubbish. I just wouldn't touch them. You might get a good one, you might not. It's too hit and miss. And that's a bit of an issue for me. I can't see what's going on there. There's shavings everywhere. So I can now feel that edge is building up on there. I can feel the burr. I'm starting to get a burr, especially on that edge. Not so much on this edge. A bit more on one side than the other. It's hard up on that side, yes. So, I'm not editing this video. So if it's long, it's long. Sorry. Besides, it's a bit of a chat, isn't it, eh? A bit of a chat. So, yeah, they want to know what my history is. Now, when I left school, I've done all sorts of stuff. I have, you know, I've trained as an electrician. I trained as a plumber, qualified, you know, and a woodworker. I've also got my MQ3 in bricklaying. So regarding construction skills, I've got quite a few, you know, and I'm qualified. I'm not just saying I am this or that. I'm qualified to do so. For what it's worth, because quite frankly, most of the stuff I've learned is through time, you know, being on the tools over a period of time. And I've got the war wounds to show. Well, you can't see it because I have carpal tunnel syndrome. You know, most woodworkers end up having carpal tunnel surgery. You know, constant gripping, you see. And it's not through, you know what, no. It's through holding a different tool. There. I could probably done actually. Say not use the coarse stone. It's getting there now, though. I can feel it now. I could probably done with using the actual coarse one to start with. Which I could just flip the stone over. To be fair. But if you've only got one stone and one grit, just stick with it. Just takes a little bit longer, so just takes a bit longer. And make sure you regularly put your oil onto your stone, because they didn't just have the oil lubricant. What it does, it removes the metal filings out of the stone to retain its abrasive qualities. You know, that's why you get all that black goo. It's the same with when you add in the water to your water stone, what have you. You have to keep it clean, don't you? You know, you don't get in the water, wash it off, and carry on with it. And the reason you do that is because, well, you know, to get rid of all the old stone grindings, what have you, but also it gets rid of any metal particles and stuff and lubricates the stone. But I know some people, why don't you just do this? Why don't you just do that? Oh, crikey, we don't need to. People are too pedantic about this stuff. And you create an edge that you can't maintain. And it's pointless. It's absolutely pointless. The pursuit of perfection can be the enemy of the good or something, can't it, you know? And sometimes good is good enough. You know, if you're getting nice shavings, right, and you end up with a decent finish, do you require any more than that? You don't, do you? You don't. It's some of it's snobbery, some of it is, you know. Now, some people say to me, oh, you're a bit of a tool snob as well, because you don't like the pocket hole jig. I just don't understand why you want to have all those holes in their work. That just look ugly. I know you can fill them with bits of wood and stuff, but it's just ugly, you know. And also, if you've got a wasp problem or a hornet problem, they'll just, oh, that's a nice place to live. I'll live in that hole, you know. Or any solitary bees and stuff, making like muddy nests inside your workpieces. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And what worries me is, you see, I'm getting there now. What worries me is the the loss of these skills over a period of time. We've already lost tremendous skill from woodworkers, masons and what have you over the years. Tremendous skills have been lost. There's very few people doing it anymore with real tools. They'll get their tar planer, you know, their electric planer out or stuff like that. They think that's doing a good job. No, it doesn't. It's bollocks. You can't compare an actual hand plane that takes a long shaving, which is straight, to something that has a round rotary cutter in it and takes loads of scallops. It's basically what it's doing. You're not going to get the finish. No, I use machines, but, you know, I understand that these things are also a part of the process. And also something about it, you know, it's therapeutic. It makes you stand back and you take pride in your work because you've got that human connection with what you're creating. Where's the human connection when I turn on my thickness over there and I just push it for one end, it comes out the other end? You know, there's no human connection. Where's the craft? You know? Okay, there is skill involved with understanding how to use this equipment. It's like these people who you see use not this festival stuff. You've got to know the processes, you know, with all these different jigs and stuff like that they provide or they can buy for extreme amounts of money. You know, you still got to know how to use it. Like CNC machines, you've got to know how to use the equipment, the machinery. There's still skills there, not knowledge-based skills, but there's still skills. It's very clever, but it still worries me a little bit that we're going to end up with a situation where we become very dependent on others to be able to do anything. You say, still operate the machine. Someone's got to make that machine. You can't make a CNC machine properly. You've got to buy all the components. Can you do coding, for instance, for the software? You know, what happens in the state of war or something? You know, and all of a sudden we can't get all this stuff because it's been sanctioned or something's happened, so you can't get hold of it or can't get a part for your new CNC machine. What happens then? You know, that is the situation in wartime, what have you, is when people with skills all of a sudden become incredibly important. It's like the second mate on the old tall ships, maybe the square riggers and stuff, was pretty much generally always the carpenter on the ship. And that went on until, probably might still go on. I don't know, maybe you can tell me. The second mate's still the carpenter on the ship, I don't know, even though they're made of metal. Now, some people said to me about this, my little jig here, this my little honing guide. I keep calling jig a honing guide. I don't just wear the bottom off. I've been using it for a while now. I haven't worn the bottom off yet. One thing you can do to prolong its life is literally sink a load of screws in the bottom there, polish them off so they're flat, and then they become your wearing surface. So they'll slow down the degradation of the wood. But I pretty much haven't noticed any yet. That's going to last ages. It's going to last years before that becomes unusable. Because at the end of the day, all you're doing is moving the actual plane iron up as that wears, providing you're maintaining the same angle. But it ain't going to, even if that angle does deteriorate, it's not going to deteriorate by much. Not to be a detriment to your edge. It's not going to make any difference whatsoever, hardly. You know, 0.1 of a degree or something stupid. Who cares about that? Really? You know, it's stupid. You know, the end result is what matters. That is what matters. And that's what we should be concentrating on. It worries me. So I feel that we're scaring people off by telling them all that, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, you can't do that without that, blah, 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 blah. Like I say, perfection's the enemy of the good. And we don't encourage people to actually pick up the tools. Now, I can't remember the name of it now. There's a little channel that I promoted on this channel before, and I love this guy. He started, from pretty much nothing. He's learning the skills as he goes, and he's sharing with people what he's learned. So you could say he's a novice, but he's learned a bit since. Oh, crikey, what's it called now? Oh, crikey. It's got like an animal name. Anyway, I had made videos about him before, short video, because I was give him a bit of a boost. And he got loads of subscribers after I did that, which was pretty cool. And he seems a lovely chap. He does seem, this cred, love the edge on there now. Oh, God, I could just keep doing this, just talking to the camera. Nothing's going to get done. No, I'm just going to talk to the camera. How long is this video going to be? Of me rubbing my stone and my wood together. Stones and wood. Meat and two veg. Sorry. I can't help myself. Anyway, I think I'm pretty much there, to be fair. I'm too busy talking, very concentrating on what I'm actually doing, to be honest. Now, I can feel there's a little bit of a burr there now. Well, it has been for a while actually. Just carry on, just oh, blooming much. Just take that out of there and put the water stone in. You know, I'm not going to be too much flipping talk. I tell you, you can't stop me once I get going, can you? So it's a natural stone. I don't know what stone it is. I used to know. I forgot. Maybe I should find out. I'm just going to whack a bit of water. It has been soaking actually, but I'm going to put a bit of water on there as well. Got to lube your tool, you know. Got to lube your tool, and then we're just going to carry on. Yeah, won't need much on here. If anything, I need to get a little bit of a tap on the back. That's it. It's a little bit. Make sure I've got contact. Yeah, I've got contact now. It's hard to tell on this stone because this stone is so fine. I don't know. It must be 12,000 grit, something like that. Maybe a bit finer. It's crazy fine. You don't need to go that fine. I'd say you really don't need to go much below 3,000 grit. You know, that'll give you a superb edge for most people's uses. You know, you can get away with, you know, just down to 1,000 grit if you want. You know. Like I say, I feel that we kind of worry too much, and we worry too much what other people think, what other people say. And I don't make this channel political, but it does concern me because I do worry that we're going to lose. There'll be a point where there'll be nobody coming into the even as a hobby. You know, we'll get to that point where no one's interested in woodworking, metalworking, all that sort of stuff, other than through necessity. And I think that'd be a crying shame. I really do. Because these are not just skills to make something. This is therapy. This is like woodworking therapy. You're just sitting there, putting an edge on and talking to the camera. For me, it's really good. For the mind, body and soul. Maybe not so much the body, because that's proven to be a failure. But, you know, the mind, maybe, and the soul. Yeah, soul. Oh, dear me. So, as you notice, I haven't actually removed this from the actual honing guide at all at this stage. I'm just leaving it on there, do its thing, and I'm going to carry on for a little bit longer until I'm satisfied that I've got my edge that I'm happy with. Now, the burr itself is going to be, well, that stone's actually still quite dry, you know, soaking in. Now, when you see the water turning black, or dark grey in this case, you know you take metal off. So you know you're doing something. And whenever you do this, always do it that way, regarding your edge, because you don't want to cut yourself. Never go sideways, because you definitely will cut yourself. A bit like being shaven, you know. And then just feel the edge. Have you got a burr? There's a little bit of burr. There isn't much one, but we'll be getting rid of that in a minute. Now, the beauty about this little thing here is, if I want to remove that burr, I can leave it in it. And that little ridge there, I just push up against the stone like so. The plane iron is making contact with the actual stone. And I'll start by pulling the stone, pulling the plane iron along the stone, not pushing, pulling. I don't want to gouge the stone or cause any, the burr to damage the stone, because the stone being what it is, they're soft, you see. So I'm just going to pull it backwards and lift it and pull it, lift it and pull it. Otherwise you'll scratch your stone, you will. And that'd be a bit of a shame because you damage it. You don't want to damage your stone. All right, I feel that now. That's there. What we'll do is we'll put that into the plane. But before I do that, I'm going to grab the rule, like so. This is stuff. It was quite funny. This is because my father showed me doing this years ago. When he was teaching me about using a steel rule like this one. Okay, it's Imperial back then. And recently I was watching a video, and I think it was Rob Cosman or one of the other YouTubers online, and then he showed it called the Charlesworth method. Well, my dad showed me this about 20 years ago, if not longer. No, longer than that, maybe 30 years ago. Blimey. And I haven't always used this method, but it is good, because if you've got a plane iron, such as like this old one, which has got some corrosion on and stuff like that, it's quite hard to get the back of that plane iron flat, you know. It requires a bit extra work. So if you can actually just create a reverse micro bevel, very tiny amount, you'll concentrate your polishing right at that edge. So what you do is you put your stone rule on there like so. It's funny when people sort of claim an idea and they say it's their idea. It's just stupid. People have been doing this for donkey's years. So I'll place it on there like so, okay? Make sure you've took the burr off, right? If you haven't, you'll damage your stone if on a water stone like this one. And then I'm just going to bring the blade backwards and forwards like so. And what we're doing is we're creating a very shallow micro bevel on the back face. Like so. Okay. And I can see it. I don't know if you can see that, but if you look at the shine, you might be able to see it. Just right, there's like a long shine. I've basically created a flat edge, and that'll allow you to get a really sharp edge. Then you see, because the back has to be flat. At this stage, I can think to myself, well, okay, I'm quite satisfied with that so far, and a bit of a stropping. Now you could use a leather strop. This is actually a piece of leather. I used to have it mounted over there, but I've removed it, so it's just loose at the moment. So I need to make a mount for that. But this is a piece of leather from an ox's harness here in France. So I used to have it mounted in there, and I screwed apart my other sharpening assembly, which I've dismantled now because it just took too much room up. So you can use something like that. Remove that waterstone now. And that was in the block before, like so. That's what it was. I was bonded in there, but it's come out now. And at the moment, it's got loads of paste on it already. I've got a stick, a paste stick there, which you can run on there like so. But the other thing I do is I actually use either white spirit or thin oil. I put a little of that on, and the reason I do that is it lifts some of the old abrasive out of the leather strop, and I just do like 20 of those, yeah, on each side of the plane iron, like so. If you're scared of stropping by hand, and you haven't done it before, I don't recommend it because you can cut yourself. When I mean stropping by hand, I mean literally hold the plane iron in the right hand, using the palm of your hand like so, and you go down like so, and then up like so. So it's that motion there. So you're basically slapping. Slap his ass! That's what you're doing. Yeah, just like that. What that's doing is it's bending the wire edge backwards and forwards back until it breaks off and it disappears. And that'll leave you with a very, very sharp edge. The other thing, you can use your piece of leather like so and literally do it that way if you want. A bit like Sweeney Todd in his cutthroat razor. Now we're getting quite a nice edge on there. It could do a bit more work, to be honest, but it is more than good enough. Another way you can remove the burr, if you want to, say, remove the burr quickly before you start using your waterstone, if you find a bit of end grain somewhere, like for instance a bit of end grain on there or a bit on the wood somewhere, what you can do is literally, so you can see, just run the plane iron along the end grain like that, and that will peel off the actual wire edge. Now, I'm not saying that's the last stage. What I'm saying is, get rid of the wire edge before you put it onto your waterstone or the oilstone, so you don't damage it. So you can just literally just peel it off. I'm quite satisfied that's sharp enough. I want to shave my hand to show you, but I'm getting less and less hair on my hands. I keep shaving it off. Oh, quite, yeah, yeah. I'm having a bit of a shave there. Yeah, that's sharp. Yeah, probably do a bit more work, but that's certainly sharp enough. Yeah, I'm a bit pedantic now. And this is a very, very fine stone. You can get diamond stones up to about 16,000 grit. Probably get finer as well if you want to, but what's the point? You know, what is the point? Yeah, that's doing it. Ugh. It's gonna cut me. It's gonna cut me. Yeah. That's plenty sharp enough. I might play with it a little bit later, see how sharp I can get that. But for this video, just place it in there. I usually go between 1 and 3 millimeters back from the actual edge of the plane iron. Some people say, go right up to the edge. No, don't bother. If you work about 2 millimeters, you'll probably be about right. 2 millimeters, around 2 to 3 millimeters. 3 millimeters might be a little bit on the high side, but you know. Anyway, what we're going to do is we'll put it back in there in this very old wooden hand plane. I think it might be a Griffith, but isn't stamped. Now, I don't know if you know this. If you look at hand planes, such as this one here, this is a Griffith. Now, this Griffith hand plane will have the maker's name on there, saying Griffith Norwich. And it's always like the wrong way round. It's upside down for some reason. Then there'll be the name of the person it was made. You know, they have to have their name stamped on. So in this case, it is a Mr. Reddington. My wife actually found his date of death, his birth. You know, his when he was about. So let's say these were made right until 1958. So they're not necessarily as old as people think they are. So the screw goes down into that slot there. All right, and what we're going to do is place a piece of wood into this vise, make sure it's the right way around, so the grain is going that way, because we're going to be planing in that direction. And let's just see if we can set that up so it makes a nice shaving. I know it's going to, because even when it was blunt, it was doing it. Or blunter. Right, so what I do is, I sit the plane onto my piece of wood. I then allow that just to touch the workpiece. I'll put the wedge in, for instance, like so. And at this stage, it's not going to do anything, all right? It's just going to run over, and no wood is going to be shaved off, all right? So what we do is now is we tap the plane iron with a plastic mallet or a wooden mallet, like so, and it should start engaging. Let the wedge go down a bit. Right, now I can feel it's grabbing now, as before it wasn't. So if it wasn't grabbing, I'd move freely, and now it's grabbing. So I know it's going to try and make a shaving. It might be too much, which it is. It's too much. So as you can see there, that's trying to take too much of a shaving off. So it's digging in. That's not what I want. You want to start with less and then go down to more if you need to. So this plane here, what they've been doing is that's where they've been hitting it to retract the iron. If you don't want to hit there, hit on the tail, on the heel of the actual wooden plane. And the reason why you do, I prefer that, is because it's end grain, right? And you're putting the force through the through the grain of the wood. It can take a lot more force there. You keep hitting there. Oh, I just burped. I'm not heads now. Anyway, when you're hitting there, you see, you cause damage. See, then it's being compressed, all right? So if you hit here, you know, it can take more. So now the plane iron is retracted a bit. See, it's not grabbing. So I need to go a little bit down again. And now it's grabbing. Probably too much again. Let's try that. Each time you do that, you've got to tap the wedge. And now it's engaging. I can feel it engaging. So hopefully we can get a thin shaving out of that. We'll see. Yeah. At the moment, it's taking more off the left side of the plane. More shavings coming out of that side and that side. That means that the plane iron is poking out further on this face than that face. Easy rectified. You just literally tap the plane iron either down on that edge a little bit or across at an angle. Like so. That's all you do. And now I'm taking, that's quite thick shaving. Right, so, you know, it's also it's about practice, you know. You get to a point where you can do it quite quickly and you sort of realise, yeah, that's it. And then you're happy. Now, the piece of wood I'm planing is actually wider than the plane itself. But why would you rule that out? Why would you not use this machine, this tool? Why? Just because it's made out of wood? It makes no sense. After all, look at the stuff they used to make with these things. You know, just a little bit finer, just a little bit thinner. Just by tapping the back end of the plane. Right, a little bit more. Oop, might be too much. Now that's a nice shaving. See? What's wrong with that? You know? That's actually quite thick shaving. Can I get it any thinner? Let's have a look. Now I had to flatten the sole of this. You know, you're not going to get, unless your sole is flat, you won't get good thin shavings. You'll get like stops and starts. Right. A bit thinner. Let's take more off the middle, even though that plane iron's flat. I'm getting more of a shaving on the middle than I am on the edges. Why is that? I don't know. But what's wrong with that, eh? That's lovely. You know? Beautiful, beautiful shavings. So that is the wooden hand plane with the wood cast steel, which is laminated steel. It's made in beech. Weighs, all in all, see what it weighs. Okay. I zeroed. It weighs 192 kilos. Grams. 192. Well, 1,000. 1,090 grams, 1,900 grams. So just under 2 kilos with a plane on and all the assembly. Whereas this one, which is the Stanley Bailey, it's obviously heavier. 2.4, let's try it on the end. Yeah, 2.4 kilos does this one weigh. Let's compare the shavings. All right. Now, I find, even though this is waxed up and ready to go and all that, this plane here seems to have more resistance than this one. This is easier to push. It is, honest, it's easier to push. It seems to glide more. I'm going to use this more and more and more, I think. Saying that, it's still a lovely tool. This piece of wood here is actually wider than the actual plane. And I'm not trying to take full width shavings, because if you do that, you end up with like ridges. So this does, I have to admit, this Bailey does produce some lovely thin shavings as well. You've got to maintain the pressure to the actual wood. Now, some people say don't push down. You don't really push down. It's all about control. It's not about pressure. So you apply some pressure, but it's got to be controlled. Anyway, now this video's got very long. I do apologise for that. But my point is, they ain't difficult to sharpen up once you've cleaned the plain irons up, and they're actually really nice to use. So why on earth do we not really entertain them anymore? Maybe you know. Please leave it in the comments down below. I already do read the comments, and you probably already... Oh, there is a name on there. Oh, where's my magnifying glass? I see remnants of a name. Blimey, I'm excited now. I'm all excited again. Underneath this lot, there's a magnifying glass. Okay, I've got something in there. It is a Griffith. This is a Griffith as well. Which makes sense. It's Norwich, you see. Yeah, that's a Griffith. This is a Griffith as well. So it's the same make as this one. So at the very least, this is 1958, but it could be older. Who knows? If it had the owner's name on it, I might have more of an idea. Normally the owner's name is on it, but it isn't. This one it is. So you could find out from the owner's name, the actual age of the plane. But the design and the style of these planes didn't really change much. See, this one here, which is another jack plane, would have had, even though the plane iron's missing, unfortunately, I need to find one for it, that too would have been a Ward cast steel. But also, that's missing. And that should have, I'm pretty certain, there should be a brass, like a strip of brass screwed on there. I don't know what the purpose that was for, but there should be a strip of brass. That's missing. And also the tote feels like it's kind of lifted out a little bit of the body, looking at it. But, you know, Griffith's hand planes were very, very popular. They were very sought after as well. And so was the Ward cast steel plain irons, which were fantastic. Now, I have made a video of restoring this hand plane to the point of it looking like, like that. I mean, sort of sanding it up and stuff like that. And it looked a bit unnatural. So I managed to bring back majority of the patina or what have you, using, believe it or not, boot polish. Boot polish and some wax. That's what I use. And it works. Yeah, it looks like a lovely plane again. Yeah, it doesn't look, I removed a lot of the patina. I didn't remove everything. There's little spots of paint on there, which is of part of the history of the plane. But it's what a tool. And a tool has to be able to do a job. And that was my main criteria. So I had to flatten the sole, which means I had to take off a fair bit of material. But you can see all that in the other video. If it isn't uploaded already, it will be very soon. So I'm going to say toodaloo. You see? It's what I normally say, isn't it? Yeah. Toodaloo. Not toodaloo. Toodaloo. Okay. Anyway, we've got a support channel. There's a GoFundMe. I'll GoFundMe. It's a so buy me a coffee. No, Patreon. It's Patreon down below if you want to be a part of our Patreon. And I am uploading a load of patterns, a load of my artwork designs that you're free to use on t-shirts and stuff, woodwork related, use on t-shirts and stuff like that. If you want, I'll give you full rights to that. Not for commercial use, obviously, but for personal use. So if you want to become a member, we do have the Patreon down below. Anyway, it's time for me to go because the missus has turned up, you know. Oh, what's she bringing me? Is she bringing me a coffee? Is that a coffee? Oh, blimey. Oh, just Caroline, it is a Griffith. Huh? This is a Griffith as well. Yeah, it's written on the end, or stamped on the end. Yeah, it's on there. This is my dear wife. She's when he scrubbed the hell out of it. She did. Yeah, you can just about see it if you look with a magnifying glass. Yeah. She doesn't know how to use one. It's just there. Literally just there. Yeah, see, remember, that's a name on. No, I can't see the name, but definitely Griffith Norwich, it says on there. Oh. So that is a Griffith. It's a Griffith jack plane. How old, we don't know. Anyway, Caroline, is it time for me to go? I think so. Okay, this is a long video to sharpen the plane iron, but I tell you, I've only done one video. And I'm just waffling there just to make it longer. Toodaloo. And don't give up on the wooden hand planes. They're wonderful.